Thanks, Alex, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for being flexible with the time. We're very pleased that the Minister could be with us at an incredibly busy schedule. And as you know, Steve is Chief Secretary to the Treasury since February 2020. Immediately prior to that, Secretary of State for exiting the European Union until 11 p.m. on the 31st of January 2020. And also the MP for North East Cambridgeshire since 2010. He was also one of the founding MP colleagues for Conservative Voice just 8 years ago. And just a little bit more about Steve, who had considerable experience before becoming an MP. An Army Gap Year commission at Sandhurst. He read history at Peterhouse College, Cambridge, qualified as a solicitor, and then worked with a large London law firm before going on to the Royal Exchange, Insurance, and he was head of anti-money laundering and sanctions for the retail bank. Steve is a great campaigner. He very nearly pulled off in Lancaster, the university seat, prior to the one he has, and he worked very closely with us on our first Conservative Voice issue campaign on dangerous drivers. And what a fantastic job he did on important issue, following the death of a constituent of his by a dangerous driver. It's astonishing to think what is to his majority in North East Cambridgeshire. It started at 8,000, went up to 16,000, then 21,000. In 2019 was just about on 30,000, taking 72.5% of the vote. And in addition to his hard work and commitment, in addition to those qualities, those are equally matched by Steve's easy and personal manner. We're delighted to have you with us, Steve, and over to you.
Well, thank you, Don. Thank you to colleagues from Conservative Voice for joining this evening. It's great to be with my very good friends, Don and Ryan, and with so many people who I've worked with over the years. So it's great to join you. And I thought I'd just set the scene in terms of, speaking from the Treasury, what we are focused on, and then very keen to hear questions and to get thoughts from colleagues tuning in. So the role of Chief Secretary, as many will know, is first and foremost to oversee government spending across all areas, and particularly over the last year or so, that has been focused on COVID, where we've had an additional spend to date of around £370 billion. To put that in context, about 1p on income tax would raise about £5 to £6 billion. So that gives you an illustration of the quantum of economic firepower that the Chancellor has provided. But most international observers will say, whilst that is a heady sum, it has reduced the economic scoring, it has retained the link between labour and business, and that will in turn enable the UK economy to bounce back better and reopen quicker than would be the case had unemployment spiked and that link between labour and business being lost. And really the whole strategy as we've gone through COVID has been to support our public services, but also to ensure that the economy is able to recover quickly, with a particular focus from the Chancellor on jobs. So for my role, that's obviously been what has been shaping the support packages we have put in place, not just in health, where that alone has been 63 billion over the last year, but across education, where obviously been pressure in terms of the need to catch up in our schools, but all areas. If you look at transport, for example, passenger numbers now has meant that we've had to step in and support. But the real challenge then is to get our economy growing and to ensure that the economy is able to fire up far better as a result. The second thing really as a Chief Secretary one focuses on, the big set piece is around the spending review. We're very much engaged on working on that, looking at the efficiencies within departments, but also the opportunity for transformation. And I think what COVID has shown is the ability for government to deliver better, more smartly in different ways, and probably at a pace that we would have struggled to convince my ministerial colleagues on prior to COVID. So whether it's the shift in the way GPs offer services through telemedicine, whether it is the ability of HMRC to deliver an IT program like the furlough at such pace, whether it is the greater use of technology that we've seen in areas like DFE. There's lots of scope for government to deliver services in very different ways. And I think one of the key challenges and opportunities of the spending review will be to embed transformation within the system. And for me, that really starts with data. So if you look at many of the challenges that government faces, it is quite easy for those to pivot to departmental silos. And one of the shifts as part of our agenda to level up across the country is not just to look at the imbalance between our cities and our productivity gap between our city regions and London, not just to look at our towns, where often people feel that for their talents to be fulfilled, they have to go for opportunities further afield. How do we address the gaps in human capital, the imbalances and inequalities between different places, but how do we do so in a more cross-departmental way? So if I look at, for example, youth services, at the moment they tend to be siloed between the Department for Education at certain hours of the day. Other times of the day it might be part of the culture, media and sport through youth clubs. Other times of the day it might be the Home Office in terms of antisocial behaviour and crime prevention. You will often find lots of different departments all interacting in the same place. So one of the key things we're looking at coming out of COVID is how do we transform services and how do we do so in a more place-based way. And I think one of the key features of that is around human capital. So a greater focus on skills, a greater focus on adult education, and within that, a greater voice for employers in the shaping of that skills agenda. So one of the things we want to be doing is saying, how do we ensure that opportunity for talent, whether it's through apprenticeships, whether it's through lifelong learning, is able to drive that human capital in places and respond to the place-based needs of employers. The other thing we're very focused on as a ministerial team, alongside the levelling up agenda, Don, and we may get onto in the Q&A, is around the Union of the United Kingdom. We are, as a party, I know you, Brian, colleagues on the call, value union of the United Kingdom. We are a conservative and unionist party, and a big focus of attention for Michael Gove and for other colleagues is around how we shift from perhaps where governments have been in the past with a devolve and forget model into one where we are unashamedly more muscular in our approach to defending the union. And the Treasury, obviously, as a union-wide economic function, has an important role to play, and again, we may tease that out. So levelling up, particularly focusing on skills, a shift in terms of our data, greater use of technology, linking that into transformation, looking at that, how it shapes the agenda on things like skills, the need for reform in so many areas. Just to give you one, I was looking at yesterday, it takes 52 weeks in the United Kingdom to train a rail driver. It takes 16 weeks for a driver on the London Underground. The scope for reform in our public services is considerable. So those are the sort of areas we're keen, but we're keen to use COVID as a catalyst for change, because ultimately this is about how do we deliver better services for our constituents and how do we deliver better opportunities in ways that don't require people to leave their place of origin. So that is what will shape the spending review. Is very much shaping our day-to-day oversight of plans. We're putting the architecture in place to facilitate that. With the last spending review, you had the Green Book review, changing the decision formula around business decisions. And as we go into the summer, that's very much in terms of a Chief Secretary's role where our focus will be. Day-to-day spending but also system transformation and a cross-departmental theme underpinning that. So that's probably just a quick scene setter. Donna, I know colleagues will have a range of questions. It's great to be with a friendly audience and one very close to my heart, and I very much look forward to the discussion this evening.